My neighbor hadn't left his house in 3 years. Not once. No one saw him outside. No deliveries, no visitors. At first, people thought he moved away. But the lights, they still turned on at night. And sometimes, if you looked carefully, you could see someone standing at the window. Watching, I told myself it didn't matter. Until the night, I realized he wasn't just watching from his house anymore. He was watching from inside mine. I moved into that house in late October. The kind of move you don't plan. The kind that happens when life pushes you into a corner and you don't have many choices left. The house was cheap, too cheap. But I didn't ask questions, because when you're desperate, you don't look for reasons. You look for solutions. The neighborhood was quiet. Not peaceful, just quiet. The kind of quiet where people don't talk much. Where doors stay closed, where everyone knows something, but no one says anything. And right across the street from my house was his house. It happened 3 nights later. I was in the kitchen, the lights were off. Only the street light outside was lighting the room. I don't even remember why I looked out the window, but I did, and that's when I saw it. A figure, standing behind the curtain in the house across the street. Not moving, not blinking. Just standing there, facing directly toward my house, toward me. I stepped back immediately. My first thought, I imagined it, because that's what we do. When something doesn't make sense, we try to make it normal. I turned the lights on, waited a few seconds, then looked again. Nothing, just an empty window, curtains still, silent. And for a moment, I almost believed I was wrong. The next morning I saw her, an old woman walking slowly past my house. She looked like she had lived there forever, like she had seen everything and forgotten nothing. I stepped outside. "Excuse me," I said. She stopped, slowly turned toward me, and before I could even ask, she said, "You saw him, didn't you?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. She already knew. Her eyes moved toward the house across the street, then back to me. "He doesn't leave," she said. Her voice was calm. "Too calm? How long?" I asked. She paused, long enough to make me uncomfortable. 3 years. I felt something drop inside my chest. Why? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she leaned closer and whispered, "Because he doesn't need to." That sentence stayed with me all day, all night. He doesn't need to. What did that even mean? Everyone needs to leave their house. Food, water, life, unless there was another way. That night, I didn't turn the lights off. I told myself it was just to feel safe. But deep down, I knew why. I didn't want to look outside again. But I did slowly, carefully, like something inside me needed to know the truth. And there he was. This time, closer to the window, clearer. And I swear, I could see his face. Expressionless, pale, still, and then he moved. Not away, not back, but slightly to the side, as if trying to get a better view of me. And in that moment, I realized something that made my blood run cold. He wasn't just standing there. He wasn't just watching. He was studying me. That night, I didn't sleep, not even for a second. I kept telling myself it was nothing, just a strange neighbor, just an overactive imagination. But there was a problem with that explanation, because imagination doesn't move. Imagination doesn't change position. Imagination doesn't react, and he reacted. When I moved, he moved. When I stepped back, he adjusted. Like he wasn't just looking at my house, he was watching me. Morning should have made everything feel normal again. That's how it works, right? Light replaces fear. Reality replaces imagination. But that morning, something was wrong. Very wrong. I walked into the kitchen, stopped and just stood there, because something small had changed. The chair. I always kept the chair tucked under the table. Always. It's one of those habits you don't think about. You just do it, but now it was pulled out. Not completely, just slightly, like someone had sat there or was about to. I stared at it for a long time, trying to remember, trying to convince myself. I must have left it like that. But deep down, I knew I didn't. I tried to stay rational. Maybe I moved it and forgot. Maybe it shifted, maybe there was an explanation. There had to be, because the alternative didn't make sense. And yet I pushed the chair back in, slowly, carefully, as if something was watching me do it. That's when I noticed something else. The front door, it wasn't open, but it wasn't fully closed either, just slightly off. The kind of detail most people would ignore. But now, every small thing felt important. I walked toward it, heart beating faster, and gently, I pushed it shut. The house felt different, not physically, but atmospherically. Like the air itself had changed. Heavier, still too still. I stood there for a moment, listening, waiting. Nothing, no footsteps, no sound, just silence. I tried to move on, tried to continue my day. But when I entered the living room, I froze again. The remote control, it was on the floor. I hadn't used the TV, not the night before, not that morning. And I definitely didn't drop the remote. But there it was, on the floor, facing the couch, like someone had been sitting there, watching something. That's when the thought hit me, not slowly, not gently, but all at once, like something breaking inside my mind. What if I'm not alone? I turned around immediately, fast, too fast, expecting to see someone, but there was no one. Just my house, just my things, just silence. I needed proof, 'cause thoughts can lie, fear can lie, but evidence doesn't. So I grabbed my phone, opened the camera, and made a decision. If something was happening inside my house, I was going to catch it. I set up my phone in the living room, facing the couch, then another one in the kitchen, hidden, carefully placed. Not obvious, not noticeable. If someone was inside, they wouldn't see it. At least, that's what I thought. That night felt longer than any night before. I stayed in my bedroom, door locked, lights off, phone in my hand, watching the camera feed. Every second felt stretched. Every small shadow looked like movement, but nothing happened. For hours, nothing. And then, at exactly 2:17 a.m., something changed. The screen flickered, just slightly. For a second, then movement. At first it was just a shadow, barely visible, moving slowly across the living room. Too slow to be normal, too controlled to be random. My breathing stopped. I leaned closer to the screen, and then the shadow stepped into the light. It was him, the neighbor, inside my house. I couldn't move. I couldn't think. I couldn't even breathe properly. He looked exactly the same, pale still, expressionless, but now he wasn't behind a window. He was inside, walking slowly across my living room. But the worst part wasn't that he was there. It wasn't that he got inside. It wasn't even how quiet he was. It was what he did next. He stopped, turned his head, and looked directly at the camera. Not just looking, not randomly, not accidentally, directly, like he knew it was there. Like he had been watching me, watching him. And then, for the first time, his face changed, just slightly. A small movement, barely noticeable, but enough to make my entire body freeze. He smiled, and in that moment, I realized something far worse than I imagined. I wasn't watching him, he was letting me watch. I dropped my phone, not on purpose. My hand just let go, like my body decided it couldn't handle what I just saw. The screen hit the floor, but I didn't pick it up. I couldn't, because my mind was stuck on one thing. That smile, it wasn't normal. It wasn't human, it wasn't even emotional. It felt intentional, like he wasn't reacting. He was communicating. I forced myself to move slowly. Carefully, I picked up the phone. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it again. The live camera feed was still running, but now the living room was empty. He was gone. That should have made me feel better, right? If he's not on the camera, then maybe he left. Maybe it's over. Maybe no, because something didn't make sense. He didn't leave. I didn't hear the door. I didn't hear footsteps, nothing. And suddenly, a thought hit me. So simple, so obvious, so terrifying. What if he's still inside? I slowly turned my head toward my bedroom door. I locked it myself. I remember doing it clearly, but now that lock didn't feel safe. It felt small, weak, pointless, because whatever that man was, he didn't seem like someone who followed normal rules. Then I heard it. Soft, very soft, but real. A sound from the hallway. A step. My entire body froze. I stopped breathing, stopped moving, stopped thinking. Another step. Slow, controlled. Not sneaking, not hiding, walking. like he belonged there. The footsteps got closer, each one louder than the last. Not because they were loud, but because they were getting closer to my door. My mind started racing. What do I do? Call the police? Stay quiet? Run? But none of those options made sense. Because there was one problem. I didn't know what I was dealing with. Then it happened. The sound I was dreading. The doorknob. It moved slowly, gently, like whoever was on the other side was testing it, not forcing it, not breaking it, just checking, as if he already knew it was locked. That's when I understood something. He wasn't guessing, he wasn't exploring. He already knew the layout of my house. He knew where I was. He knew the door was locked. And he knew I was inside. Then I heard something worse than footsteps, worse than the handle. A voice, soft, almost calm, right behind the door. You shouldn't have watched. After that, nothing. No movement, no sound, just silence. But it wasn't empty. It was heavy, like something was still there, waiting. I don't know how long I sat there. Minutes, maybe hours, too afraid to move, too afraid to make a sound. Until finally, the silence changed. Not into noise, but into absence. Like whatever was outside was gone. I didn't open the door immediately. I couldn't, but eventually I had to. Slowly, I stood up, walked toward it. Every step felt wrong. Every instinct told me to stop, but I didn't. I reached for the handle, paused, and then unlocked it. I opened the door, just a little, looked outside. Nothing, empty hallway, dark still, too still. I checked every room. Living room, kitchen, bathroom. Nothing, no sign of him. No open doors, no broken windows. No way in, no way out. That's when it hit me again. Stronger this time, he was inside. I saw him, he spoke. He touched the door, and now he was gone, without a trace. I ran back to my phone, opened the footage, replayed it, frame by frame, watching carefully, looking for anything I missed. And that's when I saw it, something I didn't notice before. When he looked at the camera, right before he smiled, he wasn't just looking at it. He was looking past it, at me through the screen, like he knew where I was, like the camera wasn't just recording him, it was connecting us. And then I noticed something even worse. In the reflection behind him, on the TV screen, there was another figure, standing behind him, inside my house, watching him, and in that moment I realized the truth. He wasn't the only one inside my house.